Okay, there we go. All right, guys. So got a couple people in here live, and for the rest of you
Okay,
watching,
there we go.
oops, hold on a second. For the rest of you watching at home, make sure you watch this whole video. There's probably a couple little things in here that you'd probably want to pay attention to. Okay. All right, guys. So my name is Mike McCain. I'm going to be your instructor for this really short semester. It's only 4 weeks, a little less than 4 weeks, actually. This is Math V23. The V stands for Ventura College. The 23 is for differential equations. This is an introductory course in differential equations. It's kind of like the next course after, let's say, calculus. You guys have completed single variable calculus, which is Calc 1, Calc 2, and multivariable calculus. This is kind of like the next step in the progression. It's not considered a calculus class. It's a little different than that, but we do use a lot of the tools that you learned in calculus. So, um, yeah, so let's see. I want to just kind of show you around the program and answer any questions that you have for those of you that are here. So when I do send out announcements or I'm meeting with you on a Zoom call, there's a couple things I want to make sure that we're familiar with. One of the things is when I say to log in and go to our course, you should see something that looks like this. When you click on the course, your student views this is what you see when you log in. And right now you are on the home screen. We call this the navigation panel over here, and we're defaulted into the home screen. We call this the navigation panel. There's a bunch of buttons here. You click this one to Zoom with me. If we set up an appointment throughout these next few weeks, that's where you would go to meet me. Um, I will be posting announcements throughout the semester. I've already posted three pretty basic ones. The most recent three will be posted here, but if you want to see all the announcements, you would click there and you'd see a big long list of what I've posted for the semester. Um, I have my instructor notes posted here. So if you click there, you'll see a big long list of PDFs which you can download to your computer. Basically, I took a look at the textbook that we're using, and the textbook's a little on the difficult side, I would say, as far as the level of community college student. But so what I did is I kind of went through and rewrote a lot of it and added kind of some flavor to it and changed stuff around a little bit, added some animations and stuff to make it a little more easily digestible. So these are pretty good, I think. Hopefully there's minimal errors in there. I'm going to go through and try and stay a little bit ahead of you to fix stuff if there's anything wrong, but let me know if you do find any mistakes or anything like that. But hopefully they'll be minimal. These are basically the sections we're going to be covering. However, there's going to be some we're going to skip over. We just don't have enough time in 4 weeks. So I took out a few things like I think we stop at 4.6. We don't do 4.7, 4.8, 4.9, 4.10. Uh, let's see what else. Yeah, that's the crux of it. There might be another section or two that we skip over, but that's the main parts. Um, we do have this 2D grapher. Essentially, this is Desmos, and you can type in very basic, two-dimensional equations. They'll change on the fly. You can play around with that. We also have something called the D field tool, which I'll reference in, I think it's section 1.3 and maybe 1.4 as well. This is for graphing solutions to first order differential equations. The buttons you're going to use are going to be this one where you can type in your differential equations. We'll talk about independent and dependent variables in the first section. We have three choices here. Um, there's also a place here you can type in your initial point or you can click to see the solutions. You also have some settings here where you can change the viewing window. And there is a table here which will really help in section 1.4 when you're doing Euler's method. And then you can choose the method over here and change your step value. Okay, so you'll have to read into that and go through it in the notes. All right, so again, we're just kind of got to go through this real quickly. I know your time's valuable, and but if you have any further questions beyond what I discussed today, please reach out. You can access your grade at any time by clicking the grades tab. I'll let you guys play around with that on your own. Um, the syllabus we'll run through really quick in a minute. There is a tool called the Wolfram Cloud, which everyone has free access to. You might need to create an account. Uh, you might want to play around with it. It's the program that I use to create these animations for this class. It's the program that I coded all of the notes in. Um, it's I would argue the most powerful mathematical program. So if you're going to go into the math or sciences, you might be interested in purchasing like a full-on desktop version. But in any case, the Wolfram Cloud version is free, and it's going to help us later in the semester when we get to solving differential equations using series. There's some stuff that it's these are long problems, and it's nice to have a way to check your answers, and this will give you a way to check your answers. Okay, over on the far left, we have this global navigation tab. Really, your account is going to be up here. You should have a picture of yourself in there. If not, make sure you upload a picture of yourself. There's also some settings in there you can play around with. The dashboard and courses, this is where you can see your courses for all the different courses you're signed up for at Ventura College. The calendar here, you can see what assignments are due on which days. You'll notice this first day is pretty packed, but most of it is just that you can see these 5 assignments here. These are just the getting started module. There's, this will only take you, maybe like 15 minutes. And then the first couple sections are due. And you'll notice that we have about 2 sections per day. However, on Wednesday, there's only 1, and that's because I do want you to read through the 2.1 notes. There is no homework for the 2.1 section. So what I would try and do is, try and stay to this schedule. And if you can, work ahead because we move incredibly fast. Yeah, about 2 sections per day on average. We have our first exam, which is next Friday on the 31st. It's in the evening at 6 p.m. on Ventura College campus. And again, here we go. Yeah, 31st right there. And then we basically have 2 weeks of material. And then we have, again, our final or exam 2 on the 14th. These are not, the second exam is not cumulative. So these are like 2 separate parts of the course. The content for this course is so rich. I don't want to test you on everything. So we basically split this course up into 2 parts. There's a first part and a second part. Okay. All right. Inbox. If you want to email me, let's see, I'm in the student account. If you want to email me, probably the best way, if it's just a general question about something, is use the inbox here. You guys can figure this out. You're at that level, so you can, click compose a message, ask me a question. If you have a question in the MyLab assignments, which I'll show you in just a minute, there's a separate button for that. And that one's more useful because it'll send me a copy of the question that you're working on. All right, so other than that, that is pretty much all the big buttons we're going to be using. And then over here at the top, you have your most recent announcements. Below that, we call these modules. And we're going to be working through the modules. Over on the far right, show the student view. You do have some, this option right here you might be interested in playing around with. You can change the notifications for the course. You can have it notify you via email, via, what do they call that, push notification on your mobile device. If I send out an announcement, I would advise, making sure everything is on so that you get everything, you read everything as soon as possible. There might be changes to the course. You might want to know that right away, especially since we're moving about 4 times as fast as a normal semester course. Okay, so now our content for the course is located here. Again, this is on the home screen. I know this looks a little different. You see a lot more buttons over here. That's because I'm in the teacher version. The student version, which is what you guys see, looks like this. Okay, so make sure you work through that getting started module, upload a picture of yourself. You're going to download and install these applications. I may be using the Wolfram Player at some point, so I'd like you to download that. I'm not sure if we're going to use it, but go ahead and download it. I might need to send you an animation, and that's how you'll look at the animations. We will be using the Chrome browser, so switch over. Make sure you download that if you don't haven't already. Also, you're going to be uploading your written work for the semester and all of your homework. I know it seems like a pain, but I'll tell you right now, it's going to help you when you study for the midterm and final, the exam one and exam two. You're basically going to be using those to study. I'm going to give you the topics, and you're going to go through all of your homework and just go through those. And if you don't have them kind of written out um, in a nice way that you can read and I can read and all your notation looks good, you're probably not going to do well on the exams anyway. So think of your homework as just kind of exam preparation. That's the whole point of those. And so to kind of keep you on task, I'm going to have you upload your written homework for each of the sections. So in order to do that, you need to install these two apps. One of them is the Canvas Student app. So you can click there for iOS, there for Android. Go ahead and download and install those. Make sure that you are logged in as well. And then you're going to download something called the Genius Scan app. The Genius Scan app allows you to take a picture or take multiple pictures of your pages that you're uploading. It combines them into a single PDF file. And then if you follow the instructions, which I'll show you shortly, it'll allow you to upload directly to Canvas into the particular assignment. I would suggest using this. It's really hard to do if you try doing it your own way, because most of the time when you take a picture, it's like an image file or what is it, JPEG file or something else. And those, I can't accept those. It has to be a certain type, which is a PDF, and it has to be a single file. So make sure you follow the instructions. I'll show you that shortly. Also, after each of these assignments in the Getting Started module, there'll be something at the bottom that's asking you to submit a statement. Here's what it'll look like for you. If you click on one of these, click Student View, you're going to click Start Assignment, and then you're going to, you can copy that in and just make sure I just want to make sure you've completed everything, and you'll get credit for those. All right, so you're also going to want to register for MyLab Access. It's somewhere between like $70 to $100. I made some kind of step-by-step instructions for you. The thing is, it seems like once a year they change something in there. So it'll probably be close, but it might be a little bit different. But I think at this point, you guys can probably figure it out. It seems like most people are able to get logged in now. There is an option if you don't have money right now, you can select the get temporary access for 14 days, and that'll allow you full access to the course, the MyLab content. But if you want to go ahead and purchase, which you're going to have to do at some point, you're going to click this option here. If you do get temporary access, you will have to update or upgrade at some point. And I can show you how to do that as well later on. Okay. And also you're going to take the syllabus quiz. You're going to, I would take the syllabus here. I would download it and print it. You might want to reference it, throughout the semester. Let's kind of go through this really quick. I don't have a lot of time because I have another orientation here at 10, but I want to stop a little early to give you guys a chance to ask questions. But let's go through this really quickly. So this is the CRN for the course. Hopefully you guys know that. Again, my name is Mike McCain. I know it's a short introduction, but just a little background about myself. I have been teaching at Ventura College for about 18 years or so. I went to school at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, have a master's degree in pure mathematics. I like teaching this class. I think my favorite class to teach is probably this one or multivariable calculus. They're both very interesting to me, and I enjoy helping students. So if you want some individual help, make sure to reach out. I enjoy working with you guys. So you just have to reach out. It's an asynchronous class pretty much, except for the exam. So you'll want to reach out to get help. Let's see. We do have two required on-campus exams. One of them is at Friday. I already mentioned this. By the way, the second exam is also at 6 p.m. I'll have to update that. As far as contacting me, use the Canvas messaging system I showed you earlier. There's also a line to my phone number at work, which will forward to my cell. And then also this other button for asking my lab questions. I'll show you in just a minute. We'll skip through that. We talked about that earlier. Okay, computer requirements. You kind of need Mac OS or Windows, one or the other. You know, the Chromebooks, I can't guarantee it's going to work. So I can't, if you're using a Chromebook, I would suggest using something else because there's some things that you might not be able to access. And then as far as mobile devices, you do need that to take pictures of your homework and upload. That's going to be iOS or Android. And you can follow you can read through this on your own, the MyLab Access. It's like 70 to $100, something like that. And I will be dropping students that haven't registered, at least for temporary access, if not full access, by the end of the week. Actually, I should probably do it. To be honest, I'm probably going to do it tomorrow because the drop deadline, I believe, is tomorrow. And if I don't drop you, then you're going to get a grade on your transcript, and that wouldn't be good for you. So I'm going to check tomorrow night. And if you're not registered for at least temporary access, then you'll be dropped. All right, here's our textbook. If you want to order the textbook, like a physical textbook, you might want to. But again, the notes that I've created pretty much go through the text, kind of extracted out the important stuff and rewrote some stuff to make it a little easier to understand. But it's up to you. There's also a digital version that's online here that you can check out. And then I don't have any regular scheduled office hours this summer. I'm off contract. So, however, I will make some time. Like I'll email to answer probably most questions. If you need help through a problem, I might do one that's similar and respond with that. Or if we need to meet on Zoom, you know, I can do that as well. And because we're moving so quick, I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Over the weekends, I'm not going to touch work over the weekends, but if you ask me questions during the week, I will get back to you within one day. Okay. And then again, if you want to, if we arrange a Zoom appointment, just go ahead and, click that Zoom with instructor button. And I will be sending out Canvas announcements, so make sure you read those things. If I mentioned how to fix your notifications so that you can be notified quicker. You can read through this if you want. Now, here's the big thing about this course. Gosh, it's a 3-unit course, right? And during a normal semester, like an 18-week normal semester, it's doable. It's a more difficult course, but it's not a lot of units. On average, I think during a normal semester, it's like 15 hours a week, something like that. But here's the thing, we're moving 4 times as fast. So you can expect about 4 times as much work. So multiply 15 times 4, and that's about where you're at. Now, some of you are pretty versed in, maybe you're pretty good at figuring things out quickly. Some of you have a stronger background in calculus. So on average, it's probably going to be less than that. But I will say there's a few sections there that are going to keep you really busy. They're pretty difficult. The first few sections aren't too bad, but pretty soon it gets pretty difficult. Okay, so just be realistic. If you got another job or something, it's going to be hard to do with another job. Or if you're taking other classes, this is kind of a special case, 1-month class where if, for some students where if they want to squish everything into 1 month, it's like a lot of pain, but very quick. So that's the trade-off there. All right, so consider this class. It's not for everyone. It moves pretty quick. All right, but on the flip side, if you do it, it's really cool class. It's really fun. The sciences, physics, they're basically spoken through the language of differential equations. So, and differential equations, they're not as straightforward as regular calculus questions, right? There's a lot of thinking, there's a lot of modeling that goes into them, and we'll do some of that. And to be honest with you, most differential equations aren't solvable. They're just too hard. And so we use computers to kind of get approximations to a lot of them. Fortunately, for an intro differential equations class, we focus on the ones that we can solve. There are certain subclasses of differential equations, out of all the differential equations out there, we're able to solve a small bit of them, and we're going to focus on those. We're going to focus on mainly first and second order. There might be a few third orders in there, uh, but even second orders, even first orders, there's a lot that we're not going to talk about because we can't solve them. So we'll focus on the ones that we can. As far as graded assignments, oh, you know what? Let me pause for a second. I know I'm talking a million miles a minute. So far in what we've discussed, do you guys in the room have any questions for me?
Not as now, no.
Okay, thanks, Tyler. You okay? Okay. All right. I think we're okay. All right. Graded assignments. Yeah. So this is the graded assignments go as follows. So the MyLab problems, which is this program we use called MyLab, this is going to be about 15% of your grade. This is probably where you're going to spend most of your time this semester working through these problems. A lot of them have little buttons on the bottom, help me solve this, view an example, but some of them don't. And most of them allow you to redo the problem as many times as you like. And there's a couple like multiple choice ones that you can't, but it'll warn you. You're free to use technology to check your work, but keep in mind that as you work through these problems, you're also going to be submitting a notebook, which is basically a printed version, a written version of all of these problems. This would be the problem statements as well as your worked out solution. So, the technology may help you get the right answer here, but you really need to do the written work. And if you don't do the written work, there's no way you'll be able to do the exam. So it's kind of a way to give you some points for, for doing the work and doing good written work. Okay. Make sure you follow the instructions here. This is to help you, right? To be honest, like, there's no way for me to know what students are doing written work. People could be getting help from others. So it's hard for me to take the written work too seriously, but I do want to give you some feedback. I do want to give you some structure so you know how to prepare for the exam. So on the exam, the two exams we have, you are going to be working through problems that are pretty much taken from your homework. So you're going to see a problem statement very similar to your homework, and then you're going to want to work out the problem below that in a very structured, methodical way that shows that you know the entire argument using correct notation, um, and is written very neatly for me to read. Okay, so the idea is to practice this on your homework. So I know it's a pain, but I'd like you to write out every problem statement. If you don't write out the problem statement, do you know what I mean by the problem statement as it's stated in MyLab? One way to save time with this would be to maybe take a screenshot and you could print it and paste it into your work, or if you're using an iPad, you can paste it in there. That would be a way to save some time. But if you don't write the problem statement, you're going to have a horrible time preparing for your exam. What you want to have is a complete set of notes, homework, right? That you can go back, read through the problem statement, and then reason through your written work in an easy, methodical way, all in one place. If you don't write down the problem statement, you won't know what the question was. And you need to have everything written down. Remember, as you're doing your homework, you're preparing for the exam. Yeah, make sure your work is presented. Make sure you just read through this stuff. You guys can read through that. And it will be grading, some of these I'm going to look over and look for notation stuff. Others, I'm going to kind of look at your arguments because we're condensed. So, into 4 weeks and I've got a couple classes, I'll give you as much feedback as I can, but, and if you'd like more, definitely reach out to me and I'll do my best to help you. All right. We're going to have two exams this semester for a total of 75%. They're non-cumulative. There are no makeup exams. You can bring three 3 by 5 inch note cards to each exam, and you can write whatever you want on there except for worked out examples. if I see worked out examples, I'll have to take them from you. So if you want to check beforehand with me, if your note cards are, are up to speed, then I can do that too. But just make sure there's no worked out examples. As far as the due dates, I'm going to make this really easy for you. I do have due dates posted. However, they're soft due dates. You can actually turn in the assignments whenever you want. And in some ways, this is a bad thing, however, because you have these exams. And if you don't get the assignments in by the exam date, if you don't figure out the assignments before the exam date with given enough time to study, you're not going to do good on the exam. So the due dates that I've posted are strongly suggested. Use those. If you're getting behind, it's going to make it that much harder when it comes to the exams, okay? So, yeah, read through that on your own. As far as grades, you guys can read through that. There's a grades tab. I talked about that earlier. We don't have to worry about add policies. Drop policies, you can ignore that. I'm not going to drop anyone. This was for an on-campus class that I didn't change. Academic integrity, you're welcome to use technology and help from friends, on your homework, but whatever you submit, it's got to be your work, right? Your handwriting, it's got to be your reasoning process. Um, I want you guys to work together though. If you have someone that can kind of help you, you have tutors, go ahead and use them, but ultimately you guys got to know the material. Of course, the test will ensure that because you're going to be taking them alone by yourself, but do your best on the homework as well. And then as far as professionalism, at this point, you guys probably all know all this stuff, but when you are in any setting, whether it's academic or maybe you're in some company or tech company or whatever it is, there's like kind of implicit, I would say, ways of communicating. And I'd like you to get as much practice as possible before you get thrown in the workforce and you're not ready. So I've had this situation happen quite a bit where I'll have some students that will write inappropriate emails. And I don't think they mean to be inappropriate. It comes off as either being unprofessional or sometimes rude. I don't think they mean it to be that way. So um, uh, when you guys address me, make sure to address me as Mr. McCain, Professor McCain, Professor. Um, After the semester is over, I would love it if you call me Mike, but just during the semester, we'll kind of keep that structure going. And for some reason, these links, I think on the downloaded version, the links work here. If not, I'll get that working. But there is a little web page you can go to where you can learn about how to write emails and what to say and what not to say. But just keep it polite. And then also when you're working with each other, just try to be positive. That's the big thing. I know at this point I don't really have to worry about you guys, but every once in a while we get a straggler that comes through that that's not aware of how to write appropriate emails. Okay, you guys can read through this stuff. Description, course objectives. You can skip through that stuff. Administrative dates. Yeah, here's what I was talking about. Start dates today. Last day to drop with a refund is tomorrow. Uh, Last day to add the class is Wednesday. So pay attention to these dates. Also, we do have tutoring at VC. I would say at this level, differential equations, it's a lot harder to get a good tutor. I think they probably have one or two people in there that can help you this summer. If you want to reach out to them, there's their number. If you're a student with disabilities, we got to take care of this like ASAP. It needs to be today because we need to get all of your accommodations set up. So email them, let me know that you're going to be reaching out to them and we'll work on that. And then for Canvas support and MyLab support, oh yeah, you can click there. If you click on the here, it'll take you to Canvas support and click there, it'll take you to MyLab support. And by the way, there might be some changes in the semester. I might need to change something up because of some unforeseen circumstance. So just so you know that this is probably what we're going to follow, but there's a chance things might change. All right, so that's the syllabus. Any questions, any other questions on that for those of you in the room right now?
No questions?
Okay, how about you, Tyler? You doing okay?
Yep.
Okay, all right. So let's keep going. And then we'll probably another 10 minutes or so and I'll let you go here. So let's get back to, okay, I guess I have to go back here. All right, so I have a couple resources for you. So throughout the course, um, you're going to run across some integrals. I expect you to know how to do, U substitution, integration by parts, um, the more basic ones, but you might not remember, the older ones, like the other ones, like, um, gosh, my mind's blanking right now. What are the other integration methods? You guys remember? I'm like blanking right now. Well, you got trig substitution, you got the trig identity stuff, you got what's the partial fraction decomposition, you got a couple other ones. In any case, if you don't remember those, we will be kind of reviewing, let's see, partial fraction decomposition at some point. We'll have to relearn that. But you can use the integration tables to help, and I'm fine with that. And I will provide this table on the exam. Um, there's some other stuff later in the semester which will be really useful, and that's going to be the Laplace transform tables and some of the power series expansion stuff. By the way, you guys saw power series expansions in Calc 2, the very end of Calc 2, and we're going to be doing that, but kind of this class, it's going to be power series on steroids. It's going to be a little harder. So I do spend a little bit of time reviewing that because I realize, it's been so long since you guys have probably taken that course, and many of you took courses where they kind of skip through that ending part. So I'll kind of start at the beginning. It'll go fast, but we'll get through it. All right, so I would suggest downloading and printing this. Oh, here's the different integration: trigonometric integrals, integration by parts, partial fractions, trig substitution. Okay. All right, so those are the main ones. And then for sequences and series, these are for constants, not for functions, but for constant series. We do have a bunch of tests. So you're kind of expected to know these. This won't be until later in the semester where you need to know these, but I'll review these a little bit, but not much. You kind of need to know those. And exams, I've written up a chapter summary for the first 4 exams, so you can read through those so you kind of know like what we learned in chapter 2, kind of summarize everything in a kind of a quick way. And then, our exam is going to be in person. So if you click there, there's nothing there. Same with that one. All right, so here's kind of the structure, what you're going to go to every day. So kind of broken this up by chapter. We're going to start off with an introduction. In this first chapter, it's basically the background is going to give you a lot of definitions and kind of the idea of differential equations and the classifying differential equations. That's really important because there's so many different kinds. We need to be able to look at them and name them, categorize them, so we know what methods to use. So pay special attention in this section. Also in this section, you're going to want to make sure that you have definitions and understand the terminology that we're going to be using throughout the semester. I know these are easier sections, so that's good. It gives you some time to focus on the terminology. Also, pay really, really, really close attention to notation. Notation is your friend. I know can be a pain to get the notation right, but I'm telling you, as you progress, especially in this class, the notation is your friend. When you're working through a class like this, let's say you're working through a problem, you're getting, step by step, you got everything lined up and you're working through the problem, and conceptually, you're trying to get to the next step, right? But let's say conceptually, you can't remember what the next step is. You can't remember what the theory to take you to the next step is. Well, if you're good at notation, oftentimes the notation will tell you what to do in the next step. It'll literally tell you what to do or suggest what to do in the next step. Okay. And it goes back and forth when you're, conceptual part of your brain falters a little bit. The notation can help reinforce it, and also goes the other way around. if your notation is kind of hurting a little bit, you can use the concepts and kind of remember how the concepts work to kind of fill in the notation. All right, but pay close attention to the notation and try and emulate the work that you see in my notes and emulate the work that you see in my lab. There's a lot of examples written in there. All right, so you don't need to walk through these lectures with me, but I did make videos and I kind of go through each of the sections. Some people are more visual learners. I do add in some stuff here. For example, there's some animations that I kind of discuss in here. And usually the videos are anywhere between like, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour, maybe something like that. So that would be a way maybe to go through the notes. You could have these printed on the side and you can watch my videos at the same time, or you could just, it's up to you how you want to do it. Everyone learns a little differently. I tend to be a big reader. I don't like watching videos. I tend to read through stuff, but it's up to you. Okay, as far as your MyLab problems, here they are. Again, the first couple of sections are relatively easy because there's a lot of multiple choice in here, just getting down definitions and things. And when this loads, once it loads the first time, it should load a lot faster. There we go. So if you click one of these questions, yeah, here's some multiple choice. This is basically classifying differential equations. This is second order. And then we'll talk about how to classify it in the notes. And all these pretty much, I think most of them, yeah, these are all multiple choice. Now, I ask you to remember on the written work, I ask you to write out the question. I would strongly suggest, or I'm actually requiring you to write this out, the whole question. If you want to change the wording a little bit, that's fine. But when you go to review this stuff, you're going to want to have everything written there so that you have something to review with. Let me go back to a section that looks a little more like a typical section. Let's go to probably 1.2 has some more interesting questions. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Yeah, so here's some more fill in the blank. There's some templates down here that you may need to use. Most of this is self-explanatory and how to use this stuff, but if you need help, I can help you. Pretty much 99.9% of students can figure it out on their own. There is this Ask My Instructor button. This is that button I told you that will send me a copy of the question that you're working on. I would suggest when you have a question, this is where you want to ask it because it'll send me the question as well as your question along with it. You do have access to the textbook there. Some of them have videos next to them, and some of them have examples. So if you click View an Example and click Continue, it'll work through an example in kind of a step-by-step fashion. This is kind of how you'd want to do it on an exam. So try and emulate what you see. Okay? All right, and I just have a couple minutes. What's the last thing? Oh, okay. So as you're working through those, remember you're going to be writing out all of your written work on separate pieces of paper. This is where you're going to submit. Now, when you submit, you don't actually submit on your computer because your computer doesn't have like a readily available camera. So I did post the instructions here though for submitting. I've got one for iOS and one for Android. If I click the iOS, which most of you have, make sure you have this app, make sure you have the Canvas Student app and you're logged in. And then I gave you the instructions here on how to do it. I would suggest actually reading through those instructions the first time. Occasionally, I'll get an email from a student saying, it doesn't work. And then I take them back to this page and we walk through it step by step and then it works. So these are pretty good instructions. I spent some time to work through them. And once you do it once, you'll remember it. It's pretty straightforward. First time, you have to read it, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Okay. I'm going to be trying to grade as much as I can, at least once per week, hopefully more. So probably the very end of the week or maybe over the weekends I'll grade. But other than that, there's some other stuff I kind of skipped over, like how to use the Wolfram Cloud and stuff. We'll discuss this a little later in the semester. I'll maybe send out an announcement about it. But other than that, that should get you started. And if you do have any questions, please reach out. I love helping students, and I'm going to be in and out throughout the days during the week, and I'll make time for you. And we can jump on Zoom. If you want to send me an email, that works too. All right. Okay, guys. For those of you in the room, hold on just a second, and then I'm going to turn off this video for everyone else. If I can figure it out.